Hello, welcome to This Family Does Everything. My name is Alexandria, and this video is part 7 of Judge Dorow versus Darrell Brooks. So let's sit back, watch, and analyze the Darrell Brooks trial.
Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any other questions.
All right. Mr. Brooks may have questions for you. Any cross, sir?
I don't consent to being called that name for the record. My name is Darrell Brooks Jr.
Your cross, please.
Can I get to it? You just stated that before the interaction with the person that you had, you didn't know him. That be fair to say?
Yes, that's fair to say.
So how could you refer to him by name if you didn't know him?
I have seen the news since then and the video of you being arrested, and you had since been identified on TV.
So that's how you came to the name?
That's correct.
So it'd be fair to say that you got that off of news reports?
That's correct.
You said the individual you spoke with seemed out of place and disoriented, like he didn't know where he was. Would that be fair to say?
That's correct.
And how would you characterize disoriented?
You just seemed very, very nervous and that you didn't know where you were.
Who's you?
You had specifically said, I don't know where I am.
Who's you?
Or where am I, specifically?
So disoriented would, from your perspective, be exactly what?
Disoriented as you did not know where you were.
With these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. With that, you are excused for the weekend. We will see you Monday morning at 8:30. All rise for the jury.
And you made reference to your phone being used, right?
That's correct.
And you also made reference to not being able to hear the person on the other line.
That's correct.
But you also made reference to the person who used your phone not being able or not answering what was being asked to them. That'd be fair to say?
Objection. That's a compound question, vague and unclear.
Sustained is the form of the question.
If you couldn't hear what was being said on the other end of the line, how can you say that there was questions being asked?
Well, there was clearly a conversation going on, and you just kept repeating, just call me an Uber, that you were very frustrated that whoever was asking questions of you didn't just to call you an Uber. It's just my interpretation of it. I could not hear the other end of the phone conversation.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know what was being discussed?
Besides call me an Uber, yes, that's correct.
And you referred to this individual coming from between houses, you said?
That's correct.
Is that what you actually saw?
Yes, that's what I saw. I saw you approach us at the very start of the block from between two houses.
Any reason why that's not in your written statement?
I don't recall. I didn't actually write it. There was a detective at our house that was writing the statement for it. Maybe that part got missed. I'm not sure.
Was it this statement?
I don't have it in front of me to see it.
Permission to show the witness the written statement?
Well, I don't know that it's necessary, Your Honor. She hasn't expressed any inability to recall
Sustained.
She did. She just said she don't know why something was not in her written statement.
That's what she said is she doesn't know why the detective didn't write it in there. The detective is the one who wrote it, Your Honor.
So sustained. Sustained is to the form of, Mr. Brooks, let me answer. Sustained is to the form of the question.
So the officer was writing what you told him, or did you actually write it yourself?
I did not actually write it myself. The detective was writing it as we were speaking, my husband and I.
You made reference, when you were at the parade, you made reference to seeing a car swerve, or you said the car was swerving toward you.
It looked like a car that was out of control. I didn't know which direction it was headed.
And you said you saw it drove toward the barricade.
Correct. I saw it drive through the barricade.
When you say through the barricade, describe that.
The car sped up and drove straight through the barricade and continued on West Avenue.
Do you recall if this barricade was standing up or
I do not recall that. I was in the middle of the road to prevent traffic from coming through, so I don't know if it was, I would assume it was standing up.
Anything else stick out to you about that day?
I don't know. Just, I mean, besides seeing the vehicle and the police firing shots and then running into you afterwards, I mean, that was strange enough.
Do you recall what day you gave the statement? Was
Not
that the
exactly.
same night, or was it a few days after, or a week, or?
It might have been up to a week later. I don't know the exact date.
Recall why it took so long?
I don't know. I received a phone call from a detective probably almost a week later, and I would assume that they had a lot of other people to attend to, other witnesses to get to. It was not a priority at the time. I was not.
So it'd be fair to say by that time you had saw news reports and had learned information about what happened.
Correct.
Did you make any claim in this matter? File a claim?
What kind of a claim?
Have you filed any claim?
No.
You filed a complaint?
I just gave a witness statement to the detectives. I did not file a complaint specifically.
About what time did you learn that you could possibly testify in this matter?
Objection, relevance.
Rounds.
Overruled. You may answer.
When I received a subpoena in the mail from the DA's office.
Do you recall whose name was on that subpoena?
Sue Opper.
Do you see Sue Opper in court today?
Yes, I do.
Can you point her out for the jury and for the record?
I'll stipulate, Your Honor.
Thank you. The record will reflect the stipulation and the witness identifying Attorney Opper.
Do you recall around what time you received that subpoena?
I don't recall exactly, no.
After you received the subpoena, did you follow up with the district attorney's office at that point?
They contacted me.
Attorney Opper did?
Someone from the witness. I don't know what her exact title is. So it's someone from the DA's office. It's not specifically Sue Albert.
Like a witness advocate type of.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Was it like a witness advocate?
I don't know what her exact title is.
Do you recall her name?
Yeah, her name is Carrie.
After you learned of the additional information, did you read any police reports or a complaint?
No.
Are you aware of who the plaintiff may be in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Ever been notified who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
Next question, please.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Yes, there is.
And who's the plaintiff?
I believe it's the state of Wisconsin.
Would that constitute a breathing human being or an entity?
Objection,
Grounds.
argumentative, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Are you aware that only a human being can bring a complaint or be a plaintiff?
Objection, misstatement
Grounds.
of the law.
Sustained.
You ever had any interaction with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds for the
Sir, under
sustain.
90611, please. Move on.
Have you ever contacted the state of Wisconsin in this matter?
Objection,
Grounds.
irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain.
Under 90611, move on, or I'll declare the cross-examination ended.
Of course you would. No further questions.
Any redirect?
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. This will also be a very good opportunity to take a mid-morning break. I'll rise for the jury, please. For the parties, please be back in 10 minutes. We are in recess.
Right.
All right, thank you. Everyone, please be seated. State, have the next witness available?
Yes.
Yep,
We need
no,
the-
I know. I need the
yeah,
jury.
yes, we're
Go
ready.
back on the record. We'll have the jury brought out. Okay. I know I did that once, but I'm not going to do that again. Not yet. Now it is. You gotta. I gotta get faster on that. Yep. Sometimes I just forget.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
No.
Still has yet to be proven for the record. Is that a judicial determination that you don't have to answer that, Your Honor?
Mr. Brooks, I've already answered subject matter jurisdiction. You know that full well.
No, I
The
don't.
written decision was entered last week.
I know nothing. It has yet to be proved. That's what I know.
Doesn't need to be proved.
It does. It has to be proven by the prosecution. You know that.
No, I actually know to the contrary. So we're not going to address
So
it.
show me a lawful law that it says
Mr.
that.
Brooks, I provided you with the law.
No,
I'll
you
give
have
you
not.
You know what? I'll have my clerk print off another copy of that order. So
You don't have to
it.
do that. Have
No,
her
I'm going
print.
to because you apparently didn't read
No,
it. So
have
I
her
hope you
print
read
off
it this
proof.
time.
Have her print off proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction. How about that? It has to be proven
Mr.
for the
Brooks,
record. It has
you
yet
are
to be
simply
proven.
wrong as a matter of
No,
law.
I'm not. If I'm wrong, then show me that I'm wrong.
I've given you the constitutional and
No,
the
you haven't.
statutory authority.
No,
and
you
the
have
case
not.
law.
You have not proven it on the record.
It doesn't need to be proven, sir.
It does need to be proven.
I believe the jury's coming in.
I believe that. Got to prove it. You got to prove subject matter jurisdiction. Set for value and return for value of that document is not proof of subject matter jurisdiction, for the record.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. State may call its next witness.
The state will call Anthony Winters.
All right. Good morning, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right. It is upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing.
Did you go to the parade, the City of Waukesha parade that day?
I did not.
Were you aware that the parade was in downtown Waukesha that day?
Objection, lady.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yes, I was.
How were you aware of that?
Everything was blocked off and there was heavy police presence, and then I saw kind of the convoy going.
Okay. So you say everything was blocked off. What do you mean by that?
Like a lot of the streets, when I was having to go pick up people, a lot of the streets were blocked off, so I couldn't go certain ways.
Do you recall approximately what time you started driving that day?
It was around like 3:25.
Mr. Winters, do me a favor. If there is an objection that's been raised by either party, wait to answer the question. I'll rule on the objection and then I'll let you know.
Yes, ma'am.
So the objection's noted, it's overruled, and you may continue answering.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said?
3:25.
Thank you. And do you know approximately how many fares you took that day?
That
Objection,
day,
speculative.
Overruled. He may answer.
that day it was probably anywhere from like about 11 or 12, somewhere in there.
Were your clients all from the city of Waukesha? Was that the general area they were working?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled. You may answer.
No. I just happened to be in that area at that time.
When you got home, did you see anything on the news?
No.
At some point, did you become aware of an incident that had occurred during the city of Waukesha Christmas parade?
Yes.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. He may answer. His answer may stand.
Generally, what information did you obtain?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
When I saw a bunch of police cars going, I contacted my sister because my niece goes to school at Carroll, and I was wondering what was going on. She told me something that wasn't even true that was going on, but later, after the next day after watching the news and social media, I found out what happened.
Looking back, when you were working November 21st, 2021, did anything seem relevant with regard to that news that you saw?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yeah, I had a call that was in the area, and it was just like a really weird call because no one ever showed up, but there was a very descriptive message that I got from the person that asked for the call about who I was looking for.
Okay, so I'm going to direct your attention to that day, November 21st, at approximately 5:15 p.m. What time did how do you receive communication when you get a client?
When you're signed into the app, it'll just pop up. You can accept it or you can decline.
So you say it just pops up. How does it pops up on
my cell phone?
Okay, and did you receive a fare request or a ride request at approximately 5:15
Objection.
p.m.?
Leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yes, I did.
What information were you given with regard to that request?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
So the fare came in for dawn, and the address I was picking up at was 550 Elizabeth, and it was an empty. Well, it wasn't an empty. It was an empty parking lot, but it was a company that was closed. And then I was given information that I was looking for a light-skinned black guy with dreadlocks.
Okay. Now, when you say that the name associated was Dawn?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes?
Yes.
Okay. And what does that mean to you? I'm not sure exactly how Lyft works, but
That's just
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. He may answer.
that's just the name of the person that I'm picking up. That I'm assuming that's the person I'm picking up.
okay. And were you in the city of Waukesha when that pop-up came on your phone?
Yes.
So what did you do?
I drove to the parking lot and waited for and hit that I arrived and waited for whomever was going to come out of the company.
And that would be, you said 550 Elizabeth Street?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's in the city of Waukesha?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive information as to where you're taking the person when you initially get the pop-up?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
When you initially get the request, you don't know where the person is going until you say that you arrived. Then you can see the address that they're going to.
Okay. So, did you eventually arrive at that location?
Yes.
What did you observe?
It was just a dark parking lot and a couple police cars on the street. No one was really around those. It seemed like it was like a closed building. I didn't know, it was empty parking lot, no one there.
Okay. And did you see anyone, both strike that. When you arrived at the location, do you send something through your app that says, I've arrived?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, there's a button that you can just click and say I arrived, and it sends a message to the person letting you know that you're out. Let them know that you're outside and they have 5 minutes to come out.
Now, is that when you would get the destination on your app?
Yes.
And do you recall what that destination was?
I don't recall the physical address. I just know it was on 19th Street in Milwaukee.
So you said that the automated message went out saying that you were there and that you give that person 5 minutes.
Yes.
What happened after 5 minutes?
I began to message with whomever the person was on the other end, letting them know that I was waiting outside and that I was in a white car.
And this is a chat feature as part of the app?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. Your answer may stand.
And then what happened?
I received a message back letting me know who I was looking for and that they were calling a ride for someone else and they didn't know where he was. They then again gave me a description of who I was looking for.
And what was that description?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Ask and answer.
Overruled. He may answer.
A light-skinned black guy with dreadlocks.
After you were given that information, what did you do?
I sent a message saying I didn't see anyone. I received a message back saying I don't know where he is. His phone died. He called me from someone else's phone.
What did you do then?
At that point, I didn't know. It was a basketball court out there, so I thought I was waiting on a kid.
Okay.
So I didn't want to just leave. So I got out my car. I knocked on the door at the company to see if anybody would come out. I rang the buzzer, got no answer. I got back in my car. I sent the message saying there's no one around. Could they, make sure the person comes out because I had already been past the 5 minute grace period.
Okay.
I got a message back saying I'll try to call them. I don't know what to tell you.
Then what happened?
At that point, I had been out there for about 7.5 minutes. So at that point, I just canceled the ride.
Approximately what time do you recall canceling the ride?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
It was around 5:30ish, somewhere around there.
And when someone requests a ride and they don't appear, is there a charge then to that person?
Objection, relevancy.
There's a charge if they go past the 5 minute grace period. There is a charge.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
There may be some questions. Any questions for this witness?
Yes. Do you remember about what time the call came in for the lift?
5:15.
Upon arriving at the destination, you were supposed to be giving the lift to someone. Do you recall if there was anything strange about the destination?
Yeah, it was a closed building. There was no one out there, no cars in the parking lot.
And you said you canceled the ride around 5:30ish?
Yeah.
Do you recall what you did from that point?
I took another fare.
Same area or?
Same area.
And you did state that you were not at the parade that evening, right?
True.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. State may call its next witness, please.
The state calls Daniel Ryder.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, do you live in the city of Waukesha?
I do.
Where were you living back on November 21st of 2021?
553 Elizabeth Street.
Were you living there, were you home there that afternoon and early evening, that Sunday afternoon?
I was.
Was anybody else home with you?
No.
Can you describe what that residence looks like? Is it a single family house, multi-unit? What's it look like?
Yeah, it's
Overruled. You may answer.
it's a three or four bedroom house with 2 bathrooms. It's a Cape Cod style home, land and stone. It's got a 2.5 car garage.
Okay. Do you know what Aries Industries is?
Yeah.
Where is Aries Industries in relation to the house you're describing?
Objection leading.
Overruled. Witness may answer.
Yeah, Aries is right across the street from my house.
Call what happened at approximately 5 o'clock p.m. that day?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yeah, so earlier that day I was in my hometown, Prairie du Chien, for deer season, and then I drove back to Waukesha. I got home in Waukesha, my home in Waukesha, around 4 o'clock, and I was watching the game, and then about 5 o'clock my Ring doorbell goes off, and then there's a gentleman at my front porch knocking on the door saying that they're homeless, they're cold, and they need to use my phone so that they can tell their Uber where to pick them up.
What did that gentleman look like?
He was African American. He had long hair and a beard.
Do you remember what he was wearing?
Yeah, he had a red T-shirt, reddish orange T-shirt, and no shoes on, pants. But I remember it stood out to me because it was cold and really windy that day, and he was outside with a T-shirt and no shoes and saying he's really cold, so that stood out.
Video on the screen in front of you?
I do.
What are we looking at here?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
This is Mr. Brooks coming up to my door.
You said Mr. Brooks. Did you know his name at that time?
Not at the time, no.
When did you learn that name? approximately?
The officers were using it after the fact, so I don't know, about 5:30 or so that day.
Okay. Does this appear to accurately depict your front porch as it looked as that subject walked up to your door?
Yes.
And this is the video you sent to law enforcement that night, or sometime after that night?
Yes.
Move Exhibit 75 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection.
Exhibit 75 has received permission to publish. Granted.
Objection.
It's noted. Overruled.
As we're waiting for that to pop up in the jury box on their screens, I'll ask you, Mr. Ryder, do you see a date and timestamp on the bottom right-hand corner of this video?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
I do.
Is that a timestamp that's a feature of Ring, or was that added after the fact?
Objection.
Overruled.
It's a feature of Ring. I didn't add that, yeah.
And to your knowledge, does that timestamp appear to be accurate?
Objection.
Overruled.
Speculative.
Yes, that is accurate.
For the record, the objection was overruled.
This is a 20-second clip. I'm going to ask that we play it once with audio.
Hey, I'm calling an Uber, and I'm supposed to be waiting for it over here, but I don't know when it's coming. Can you call it for me, please? I'm homeless.
Can we pull that back up just to look at the timestamp one more time? Thank you. And just for those of us with not the greatest eyesight. Would you mind reading that timestamp on the bottom right hand at the beginning of this exhibit?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yeah, it says November 21st, 2021, and the timestamp says 17:01, so 5:01 p.m.
Okay. The voice we heard in that exhibit that we just played, whose voice is that?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Objection.
You may answer, sir.
It's Mr. Brooks's voice.
It's not yours.
No.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that Mr. Brooks please be instructed to remove his face mask momentarily.
Sir, would you please remove your face mask and face the witness?
Was that a question of...
The state's asked, sir, please remove your face mask and face the witness.
I'm confused. He made a statement about voice.
The question's been asked and answered. Please remove your mask.
What was the question?
Please remove your mask and face the witness.
Mr. Ryder, do you see the person depicted in exhibit number 75 in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you identify him for us by telling us where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
He's sitting at the table right there wearing a black suit and a gray striped tie.
And as the record reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Brooks.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified the defendant as the person depicted in this video and the person who was on his porch on November 21.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name for the record. My name is Darrell Brooks, Jr.
Go ahead, your next question, please.
Thank you. What happened in the moments after this video, the 20 seconds that were captured?
So he was on my porch for, I don't know exactly, a minute maybe, and he was telling me the interaction, or he was telling me that he needed to use my phone to let his Uber know where to pick him up, and that he was homeless and cold, and he said he didn't have any weapons or anything on him, and he lifted his shirt real quick, and I was like, no, it's okay, you can use my phone, and I let him come inside and warm up. I just tend to believe people, and I'm from a small town, and we had people that need help all the time because we live right off a highway, so I'm used to, didn't faze me too much. I mean, I was nervous for sure, but I was like, yeah, I can use my phone, and he made it sound like the Uber was going to be here just any second, just needed to know where to pick him up. So I said, yeah, you can come and warm up while you wait for the Uber. And I let him sit on the couch right by the window out front. I said, you can look out here waiting for your Uber. And he's on the phone most of the time after that with his mom. And he's saying the address, 553 Elizabeth Street, is where it needs to come. And, how far away is it, kind of things like that. But
okay.
I guess is that what you're wondering? Or
let me back up.
Yeah.
You made a motion with your hands there regarding what Mr. Brooks said about not being armed. You do that again, just for anybody who missed it?
Objection. I don't know. Not consent to being called that name.
Go ahead and
Again, for the record.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly what the motion was. I remember him saying he didn't have any weapons and he's not dangerous. And I think he lifted his shirt really quickly. But then I was like, don't worry, I'm not worried about that. And so I didn't, it's not like I patted him down or anything like that. But.
Okay. Did you let him in the front door that would be right next to your video doorbell?
I actually...
Leading.
I can rephrase.
Go ahead, rephrase.
What door did you let Mr. Brooks into your home?
I let him in the back door.
I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. Go ahead, you may answer.
Yeah, the back door.
Okay. So he went around the side of the house to get to the back door?
That's right.
You testified earlier that he was on the phone with his mom. How do you know that?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
A few reasons. I heard him say mama a lot, and his mother called me, and I didn't answer, but his mom called and left a voicemail after the fact, confirming it.
Whose phone was he using while he was inside your house?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
He was using my personal cell phone.
How would you describe his demeanor as he was inside your house?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I would say flustered, but also there were many times he was thanking me, and so he was grateful, and he even said, thank you so much for showing me love, man, and he was calling me bro, and so it wasn't I guess that didn't make me feel like I was in any danger at the moment.
Did Mr. Brooks leave your home at some point?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
I'm sorry, I lost train of thought. Can you say it again?
Did he leave your home at some point?
Yeah, he left when I asked him to. So he was in my house for 8 or 9 minutes, and then I was standing on the front door looking outside because I was getting a little nervous because I thought the Uber would be there in a minute or two, not 10. And so after 8 or 9 minutes, I'm looking around outside and I see a police car drive by. And then I see another one coming down the street. And so I tell him, I say, hey, we don't get a lot of police traffic on this street, and I'm getting nervous, and this is just too weird of a situation. You're fine to wait for your Uber, but you need to do it outside of my house. And he was a little bit like, oh, no, it's okay, don't worry, man, don't worry. And I said, no, you need to leave. And then he listened and got up, and I've got video footage of that, of me escorting him outside of my house. He's still on the phone, and he's still got my jacket on, but I just said, you need to leave.
Are exhibits 77, 78, and 79 accurate depictions of your porch that night?
Objection.
Yes.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
Move exhibits 77, 78, and 79 into evidence and ask to publish all three, please.
Objection.
The objection is noted as to all three. It is overruled. Exhibits 77, 78, and 79 are received permission to publish. All three are granted.
Okay, 77 is up now for everybody. It's a 21-second clip. We're going to play it once with audio, please.
Before you do that, can we just confirm it's in the jury box? Not yet. Okay. Let me know.
I guess while we're waiting, we can make use of this time. Mr. Ryder, could you read the time and date stamp for us on the bottom right-hand corner?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's November 21st, 2021, 17:10, so 5:10 p.m.
All right,
Okay, we've
thank
got
you.
it up for the jurors. Let's play this once with audio. What do you recall being said in that portion of the video?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
I'm walking Mr. Brooks outside of my house, and my neighbor, Greg, says, "Are you guys looking for that guy?" And I had no idea of anything at this point, and so I say, "I don't know. This might be him." You can hear that in the audio. I don't know if anybody was able to distinguish that, but that's what was said. And then Mr. Brooks says, "No, no, no." And then I say, "Can I have my phone, please?" And then after that, I say, "Can I have my jacket, please?"
My ID! My ID!
Mr. Ryder, what happened during that video clip?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Mr. Brooks, or I should say the suspect, came to my door, asked to come back inside to look for his ID. I said, "No, I'll look for it. You stay out there." And I was looking underneath the couch and everywhere that he sat for his ID when I hear the police officers saying, "Put your hands up." And
Did you ever find that person's ID?
no,
Did that person leave anything else inside of your house?
no,
Flip-flops?
No.
Sweatshirt?
nothing.
Objection. Leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question. Please rephrase that last question.
What, if anything else, did that suspect leave in your house?
I don't.
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I didn't find anything left in my house.
Okay. This is a 19-second clip. We will play it once with audio.
26, 500 block of 2026. Hey, do you know this guy? Absolutely not. Okay.
We've paused at 18 seconds. That's the police officer you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you, just for the record, read for us the time and date stamp on the bottom right-hand corner here at the 18-second mark of exhibit number 79?
Yeah, it's November 21st, 2021, and the time is 17:12, 59 seconds, so 5:12 p.m.
The video is a little bit blurry. Do you know where Mr. Brooks is at this point?
Objection leading, and I do not consent to being called that name.
Overruled. The objections noted. You may answer the question.
Yeah, the suspect is on the east side of my walkway, on the northeast side of my house, in my yard. If you see where those two police officer heads are, the suspect is on the grass right there.
That's all I have for this witness. Thank you.
All right. Any cross?
Yes. Just one second.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Will you be needing any of those videos put back up at any time?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Thank you.
And before that evening, you didn't know the guy that came to your house, correct?
Correct.
And so why do you refer to him by name if you didn't know him?
Because after the fact, the police officers and other people involved informed me of who the suspect was that was at my house that night.
And were you aware that the ring footage was shown on social media platforms?
I was aware, yes.
Any idea how that came about?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yeah, I released it.
And you released it. What do you explain what you mean by released it?
Yeah, the news wanted the footage, and I thought that this was good footage for this community and the victims to see some justice of the suspect put into cuffs, so I decided to release it.
And were you paid for that release?
I was.
So it would be fair to say that you profited off your ring footage.
The incentive to release the footage was not to make money, and we donated a lot of money of the money we did see off of it. But yes, we did. The money did make, or the video did make money.
Do you recall how many videos you released?
I believe it was 4.
And you got paid for all 4?
I don't know if it was paid for a per video basis, or we were getting bombarded by the news, so we did it. We worked with the agent that then dealt with all the news people, and we just got some off the back end. So I don't exactly know how that works.
So would it be fair to say that you sold that footage?
Yes.
And you let them use your phone, correct?
Yes.
And how do you know for sure who they were talking to?
Because the number that they had called me back and left a voicemail saying that they were the mother of the person that just called. she said something to the effect of, "Hi, you just let my son use your phone. I'm calling back to figure out what's going on." And so that told me. And I did hear the suspect use "mama" when they were on the phone too.
Did you follow up with that voicemail?
I did not.
Grounds.
Overruled.
May I just clarify the basis was he didn't describe it as a voicemail?
Because the number that they had called me back and left a voicemail saying that they were the mother of the person that just called.
He did. He said he left.
I thought he did, but
yeah.
anyway, the objection's overruled. Did you finish asking your question? Why don't you just ask it again?
Did you follow up with the caller that left the voicemail after that?
I never called her back. No, she just called one time and left one voicemail. I did give the phone number to the police because they asked for it, so I gave them the number you had called and then told them about the voicemail calling me back. But I didn't release that to anybody else other than the police.
Do you recall keeping that phone number in your call log after that?
I believe it's still in my voicemail history, if that's what you're wondering.
Even now?
Even now, yeah.
Any reason why you would keep it this long?
It's just, I didn't go out of my way to keep it. It just is on there. I don't get a lot of voicemail, so I checked this morning just to make sure it was on there, and it still is on the bottom of my list.
So why would you check for it this morning?
Because I thought maybe it'd come up today. I don't remember the exact number, but I still have the voicemail if I needed to bring that up.
What led you to believe that it may come up this morning?
Because I knew I had to testify, but I didn't know what exactly would come up or not.
What do you mean by you knew you had to testify? Is that
I got a subpoena and asked to come and share what happened at my house that day, and that was one of the things that happened.
you seeked testifying?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
So you made reference to still keeping the voicemail. Did you keep any of the ring footage?
It's still on my phone, yes.
You said it was like 6 or 7 videos?
I didn't keep anything past the officer coming up to my door after. So I think I've got only 4 saved, maybe 5.
Any reason why you would keep those this long?
I just haven't felt the need to get rid of them, I guess. I mean, that video is protecting me, from being involved or anything, so there's no reason I would ever get rid of it.
Would it be fair to say that you weren't involved in anything that evening?
Other than trying to help somebody who I thought was in need, I was not involved in anything that evening.
So why would you have any fear that you may be implicated in anything, if you know that you weren't involved in anything?
Because I had a suspect who had just done horrendous things come to my house, and automatically people are going to think that maybe I had something, or I knew you or something, and I didn't. And so this is just validating that you told me you were homeless and I was trying to help a stranger out when really... Sorry. What's the question?
I mean, it would be fair to say that you weren't arrested in any connection to any events that evening. Would that be fair to say?
That'd be fair. I've never been arrested.
And so my question would be, why would you think that you would be implicated in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered. Next question.
And how do you feel that the keeping of the videos would protect you from something that you don't need protection from?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered, sustained.
I think I misspoke when I said that it was protecting me, because it's not necessarily protecting me. It's just something I haven't got rid of yet.
And after seeing reports on the news and things of the like, did you come into any more information at that point?
Objection.
Grounds.
Vague.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Did you learn anything from news reports that you didn't know that evening?
Yes. After the fact, I learned of the suspect's criminal. Well, I guess. Sorry.
We're not going to go there.
Okay. I learned the name of the suspect at my house. I learned what that suspect was put into cuffs for at my house. And I learned what vehicle he drove and the details of the incident.
Did you observe the suspect in the vehicle at any time?
No.
Did you notice any vehicles parked in the area that you hadn't seen before?
No.
You made reference to briefly speaking with neighbors at that time?
Yeah, when I was escorting the suspect out of my house, the neighbors said, "Are you guys looking for that guy?" And up to that point, I had no information of a person that you should be looking for. So I said, "No, this might be him."
Do you know what they were referring to at that moment?
Yeah, my neighbor was at the parade, and he was talking about the person driving the vehicle through the parade.
And you knew all that at that moment?
No, I didn't learn about that until the police told me after the fact. I didn't know what he was referring to when he said, "Are you guys looking for that guy?" I didn't know anything about anything particular, but just that somebody's looking for a guy. And so then that's what led me to believe that the suspect at my house may be the person.
It would be fair to say at that time, at that moment, you didn't know what they were referring to.
That would be fair to say, correct.
Did you have any other interactions with those neighbors that evening?
Yes. They called me after I got done doing my reports with the police, and I explained to them why there was so much police presence at my house afterwards, and that that the suspect was arrested at my house, or at my front porch.
And did they at any time say anything to you about seeing a vehicle or having knowledge of a vehicle at that time?
Yeah, Greg, my next door neighbor, saw the red vehicle running over people.
And he saw that. He told you that he saw that?
Yeah. He told me after I had, I don't know exactly what time, maybe 6:30 p.m. that night, when I called him after the fact. After I knew what had happened, then Greg told me that he had seen what had happened. A lot of my neighbors were at the parade.
Do you know if they gave any reports to law enforcement at that time?
I don't know that.
The officers that arrested the suspect at your home that evening, did you see your neighbors speak with any of those law enforcement officers?
I didn't see them, no. Speak with them, no.
And you stated that they told you what they saw, any reason why they wouldn't speak with law enforcement, seeing as how they were right there in the area?
Objection.
Grounds.
Only for speculation.
Sustained.
So would it be safe to say you were pretty well informed that you would be testifying in this matter?
I didn't know. I knew that it was likely. I didn't know until I got the subpoena letter.
And when did you receive that subpoena?
I'm going to say September, maybe end of August.
And that was it was sent by the district attorney's office?
Yes.
You recall the name?
No.
After receiving the subpoena, did you follow up with the district attorney's office?
They said that they would be emailing me with more details, and I waited until I got the initial email before I did any following up with the district attorney's office.
And were those emails pertaining to testifying in this matter?
Yes.
Have you yourself filed any claims in this matter?
No.
Have you yourself seen or read any complaint in this matter?
No.
Would you yourself consider yourself an injured party in this matter?
No.
Are you aware of who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained.
Would it be fair to say that you've followed reporting on this incident?
Initially, yeah, I watched the news and followed the reporting on it.
Initially?
Well, like I haven't been following the trial, but I was following the initial reports back in November of last year.
So pretty much right when the incident happened is what you followed?
Correct. You know, the following week or so, or 2 weeks.
You ever hear who the plaintiff was in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you yourself ever had any interaction with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Do you recall how much you sold the ring footage for?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Overruled. He may answer.
I believe gross, it was a little over $23,000. But after taxes, and we donated a lot, so we saw a lot less than that afterwards.
Would it be fair to say that's quite a nice profit?
Objection.
Grounds.
It's
Sustained as to the form of the question.
And would that be the price just for one of the ring footages, or in total, all that you sold?
That was the total. Yeah.
The four.
like I said, I don't know how that worked. That was just the kickbacks that we got from working with the. So yeah, I guess all of it, all 4 footage that was distributed to the news.
Do you recall which station that was? Which news station?
I mean, I think it was like most of the NBC, ABC.
So it was
CBS.
multiple.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall all of them. No, I don't exactly which ones it was. I don't know.
So it'd be fair to say it was pretty much all the standard news stations.
Yeah.
Do you recall if that included TMZ?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Sustained. You've made your point. You can move on.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Please. Thank you. Mr. Ryder, do you have your phone on you right now?
Overruled. He may answer.
I don't. I gave it to a gal that let me in here. She's got it though.
While we're waiting on that, you mentioned you checked your phone this morning to confirm that you still had the voicemail we've been talking about, right?
Yes.
Relevancy.
Overruled. You questioned him about it. It's proper.
If we,
I'm referring to the use of the phone. What is the phone?
We haven't gotten there yet, sir. You're premature. You may answer.
you did check.
Yeah, I did.
If we were to provide your phone to you here today, do you think you'd be able to find that voicemail?
Objection.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yes.
Do you think you'd be able to play it on speakerphone for everybody to hear?
Objection. What is the relevancy?
Overruled.
Yeah, I can do that.
Relevant. There's a way to also play it through the technology.
Objection. What is the relevancy?
Could I have a bailiff, please?
You can unplug it from the charger. It's
And
probably
to the witness.
Objection. What is the relevancy?
It's relevant, sir. You cross-examine him about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll cross-examine him about the question, not
Brooks,
playing the phone.
please, I've made my ruling.
So is that a judicial determination?
Go ahead, you may ask your next question, Attorney Witcher.
Please open up your phone and let me know when you find the voicemail.
It's still pulling up right now.
Sure. You followed instructions and turned your phone off before you came into court.
Objection.
Overruled, you may answer.
Leading.
Yes, I turned the phone off before court.
Attorney Witcher, I presume while he's loading that you're not offering the voicemail for the truth of the matter asserted, but simply to substantiate that he received a call.
Yes.
The jury will be instructed in terms of what is said in that voicemail, not to consider it for the truth of the matter asserted, but just simply to substantiate the voicemail was received.
And part of that request, Judge, would be to include the time that the voicemail was left and the number from which it came.
Objection. What is the relevancy of that?
The objection's noted, and you may ask the witness those questions.
You might as well ask about the videos too. Then.
We'll get to those.
How much longer do you have with?
5 minutes.
All
Well,
right.
I don't know how long this voicemail is, with that caveat.
All right, please continue.
It's
Okay.
29-second voicemail.
Okay. Can you tell us what phone number that voicemail came from?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled, he may answer.
The voicemail came from 1, so plus 1 or whatever, so 414-610-2153.
Can you tell us what time that voicemail came in?
Yeah,
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled, he may answer.
5:27 p.m. On November 21st
of 2021?
of 2021.
Objection leading.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
And Your Honor, at this point, I'd ask to allow the witness to play that voicemail using speakerphone. And if that doesn't work great with the audio system, then we can try the plugging in option.
Once again, the jury, will only consider this not for the truth of the matter, what's asserted in that voicemail, but simply to substantiate that it was received. Go ahead.
Objection.
Noted. Overruled.
Yes, Mr. Ryder, I don't know what's going on. I'm at work. I work at Trader. And my son, that was my son who you let use your phone.
Oh, sorry. I'll restart it. I was using the wrong
Yes,
mic.
Mr. Ryder, I don't know what's going on. I'm at work. I work at Trader. And my son, that was my son who you let use your phone. And he's calling. I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to see if he got the lift or what, because the guy is in a white Dodge Charger. I guess apparently the lift driver switched cars and I didn't get the message. So I'm just trying to find out what the hell is going on. So I'm just want someone to just call me and tell me something, because I don't know.
And then that's the end of the voicemail?
Yes.
And you didn't contact the person who called you and left that voicemail after the fact, did you?
Objection leading. Asked and answered in cross.
Overruled. He may answer.
No, I never contacted her.
Okay. The videos that we played in court today, those 4 videos, exhibits 75, 77, 78, and 79, you turned all those videos over to the police, is that correct?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
To whom did you turn those 4 videos over?
I emailed them to Officer, I believe it was Officer Lilling. There was a Rebecca Carpenter out of Eagle PD that wanted it, and I may have emailed it to somebody with West Dallas PD, but for sure Waukesha Police Department all got it that night.
So while you've got your phone in front of you, are you able to access your call log?
Yeah.
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Can you go back to November 21st of 2021?
Okay.
Can you see what number Mr. Brooks dialed that day using your phone?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
So my call log didn't save back that far. My voicemails did, but my call log, I've made so many calls since then that it didn't. I didn't save that. I think the police definitely saved that number when they were at my house that night, though.
Do you recall if it was the same phone number that you received that voicemail from?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
I don't recall for sure. No.
Okay. The videos that you released to the media, did you release anything to the media that you didn't also provide to the police?
Objection.
Overruled.
No, everything that was released to the media was already released to the police department.
Did you alter those videos or the audio that goes with them in any way when you released them to the media?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
No, I never altered any of them.
What about when you sent them to the police?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
No, never altered them.
Were you aware at the time that Ring is a subscription service?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes, we pay a subscription for it.
And there's a cloud account that goes with that, is that right?
Objection leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
I think this is a pretty foundational question necessary to develop the
You're
testimony.
probably right, and can be some leading questions are allowed, but just rephrase that one, please, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Where do the videos go aside from your phone?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled.
There's an app on my phone that I was able to save and download off the app onto my phone. So there might be, I'm pretty sure that there's a Ring cloud that the company Ring can probably access the footage, but I was never notified that they have access to it or anything like that.
If someone did want to access those videos through Ring, were you aware at the time that someone would have been able to double check and make sure that you didn't fudge with that video?
Objection leading.
Overruled if you're able to answer.
Yeah, I mean, Ring could, if we needed to get Ring to validate that it's correct, they would be able to do that.
Okay. When Mr. Brooks first knocked on your door, were you planning to sell those videos?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Objection, speculative.
It's not speculative. Overruled. The witness may answer.
Objection, hearsay.
It's not hearsay. Go ahead.
No, I had no idea what was going to happen after that.
What about after you let him in the back door and gave him a sandwich and a jacket? Was
Objection.
this all part of a plan at that point?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
No, there's no plan to get footage to sell or anything like that, no.
You simply provided those videos to law enforcement and the media.
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. I don't have anything else.
After the fact.
All right. Thank you. You may step down. It's a little after 12:09. We will take our lunch break. We went a little bit longer, so I'm going to take about a 90-minute lunch break today. So all rise for the jury. We are in recess. I'll see everyone at about 1:40. Thank you, everyone. Be seated. All right, we are back on the record in State versus Brooks. Appearances are as they were before. I know this morning I mentioned I would mention to the jury about Exhibit 15. As I recall going back in my memory about how that exhibit was received, I believe I already told the jury it is received or was received subject to further testimony. So I don't know that I need to tell them again that it's received, and it would be my inclination to just simply let it be. We've noted it outside the presence of the jury, but that's how I intend to handle that. Agreed. Thank you, Judge. Okay. I believe all of our jurors, well, they're all back, of course, but they're ready to go. And so when we bring them out, the state should be prepared to call the next witness. Okay, very good. Then bring the jury out, please.
You ain't called that name that you started with. I don't know if the audio's on.
What is your name? Brooks. First name? Darrell.
Audio's on, and I called the case. I actually didn't specifically refer to you, but I did say State versus Brooks. But in any event, your objection is noted for the record, and we'll continue with testimony.
Will you be addressing subject matter jurisdiction? Is that a judicial determination not to answer, Your Honor? So is that a tacit agreement?
All right.
Subject matter jurisdiction has yet to be proven for the record.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. State, have the next witness, please.
Thank you. The state calls Officer Rebecca Carpenter. You already made reference to the parade. Were you working on duty as a law enforcement officer on November 21st of 2021?
Objection.
Yes, sir, I was.
Leading.
Overruled. And you may answer.
Yes, I was.
Were you aware that day that the Waukesha Christmas Parade was taking place?
Actually, I was not.
Did you at some point become aware that there was a parade in downtown Waukesha?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You
Yes.
may answer.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, I did.
I'd move Exhibit 80 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 80 is received. Permission to publish is granted. For the record, please tell me the total length.
It is a 5-minute video.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We will start at the beginning. We're going to play it with audio, and we will pause at certain points, and I'll point out the timestamps when we pause. But we'll start from the beginning, please.
Big Ben. Any unit that is on Elizabeth Street currently advised. Robert 277. Robert 277. What's up? Hands up! Put your hands where I can see them. Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Do it now! Hey, taking one of the hospitals for a plan here. What did I do? Lay on your stomach. What did I do? Robert 277, are you on Elizabeth? It's on my right. You got something with your name on it, man? No. Okay, lads, cooperate with us. Okay. Okay. Dispatch unit outreaches. Robert 277. What's your...
Do you see Mr. Brooks in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you point him out for us by telling us where he's sitting and what he's wearing?
He is seated at the defense table wearing a dark-colored suit and striped tie and a mask over his face.
Just to be thorough, Your Honor, could we please have Mr. Brooks remove his mask momentarily?
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Go ahead.
Now that Mr. Brooks has removed his mask, does that change anything about your testimony today?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name. It's leading.
You may go ahead and answer.
That's Darrell Brooks.
Could we please play from 114?
There's multiple units. David 216, you have to attend. What is your name? Brooks. We are one male. Darrell. Down Elizabeth Street. I'm waiting for a minute.
Paused at 1 minute and 23 seconds. Sitting on the witness stand today, do you acknowledge that Mr. Brooks has a short haircut?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name. It's leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question, please.
How would you describe Mr. Brooks's haircut today?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Sir, I understand your objection. Please do not interrupt with that further so that the questioning of the witnesses may continue. You may answer.
If you say that name, I'm objecting.
And the jury will disregard the objection if it's solely for the name purposes. Go ahead.
Mr. Brooks has his hair cut close today.
What about when he took his face mask down? Did you notice his facial hair?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
He does have facial hair.
Did you notice anything different about his facial hair today versus in the video?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
That is also trimmed closer.
Does the hairstyle and the facial hairstyle here in court today give you any pause or concern over whether or not it's Mr. Brooks in the video?
Objection.
Go ahead and answer, please.
No, not at all.
Let's resume playing at 123.
Objection noted for the record.
I just used somebody's phone to call for a minute, that's all.
Oh, okay.
That's what I need. Yeah, one male 1026, the black male with red short sleeve shirt.
I'll tell you what,
Okay.
if everything turns out to be on the up and up, life will be good and you'll be on your way, all right?
I got it, guys. I got it. Suspect, I presume?
Unknown. Ask him. Ask him if he knows. He was on the porch here.
Yeah, I was using his phone. What's your location? I was using his phone.
You're pulling into WMH Road, loading her down.
I called my
Any squads available for a transport?
On the 500. Just give me a lift. That's all. I was just using his phone.
Darrell, this is Schwartz. I'm leaving WSC. Where do you need me?
What? Can I just sit up? I was freezing. Can I please just sit up? You have any weapons on you? No, sir. What's your name, guy?
9209.
I just told her my name.
What did you tell Park?
Yes, sir. What's your first name? Darrell Brooks? Yes, sir.
No additional victims. We start on the next block.
Copy. No additional victims.
This matches the description of the guy that got called on who was going door to door over here.
Yeah, I was trying.
Where are your shoes, man?
I was trying to use somebody's phone.
Where are your shoes?
My flip-flops is in his house.
Did you hear the last thing said by the suspect on the ground at this point?
Objection
Yes.
leading.
Overruled.
What did he say?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
He said, my flip-flops is in his house.
Do you know if any flip-flops or any other shoes of any kind were ever retrieved from the residence that this was taking place in front of?
Objection speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
I did go in the house and speak to the resident there and asked if he had left shoes or outer garments or anything like that, and he said that he had not.
Can we please resume at the 2:49 mark?
He was saying he just gave me a jacket.
He's identifying soft lighter skin, black male, dreadlocks, red shirt, blue jeans, no shoes.
Yeah, I did go to their house. I went to that house right there, right down the street, right here.
Where you coming from, man?
I was coming from that parade down here.
Okay.
I know a friend down here.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Stand up for me, Darrell. I can't, Mr. Brooks.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Roll over on your butt.
Okay, now you.
Roll over on your butt. Roll up on your knees. Roll over on. Roll up on your knees.
Okay.
500 block of Elizabeth.
Stand up.
Right now. 553 Elizabeth.
What are you doing?
Freaking sweet.
Factory here.
Did I do something?
That is yet to be
Go to
determined,
the front of
sir.
my squad, man.
Okay.
Is there anything I need to stick me, poke me, hurt
No,
me?
no, not at all, sir.
Okay.
Not at all. I don't have any weapons.
Glad to hear it.
Nothing like that.
How did you get up over here, man?
I was coming to see a friend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where's your friend?
I don't know now.
Spin your back your hand for me.
I had, yeah,
You injured at all, dude?
Yeah.
What hurts?
When they slammed me, my knee, I already have an injury.
Spread your feet for me.
Okay, yes. That's my ID.
It certainly is.
Yes. I'm so cold.
I bet you are.
Paused at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Officer, can you tell us what you and any other officers were doing in that brief portion of the video?
Walking him to a squad car so he could be placed inside since he was not dressed for the weather.
Did you give the suspect any of that information?
Objection.
Grounds.
I'm not sure what information he's talking about.
Sustained is to the form of the question. It's vague.
Did you give the suspect any information on why they were being detained?
I said, actually it wasn't me that said that. It was another officer that said that, and I can't tell you who it was because I don't know. While you were being put in the car, you were informed you were being detained for investigative purposes, which is an answer that's appropriate for the circumstances.
So it would be fair to say that that's not really all that informative?
I did not have a lot of information to give you, sir.
Keep saying you. Who are you referring to?
You, Mr. Brooks. Darrell Brooks, seated at the defense table.
Any reason why you wouldn't tell a suspect why they're being detained? Essentially being that if you take someone into custody, they should know why they're being taken into custody. Wouldn't you agree?
I can't give you information that I don't have. And I wouldn't want to tell you the wrong thing. That wouldn't be fair.
So why would a suspect be detained without any information to your knowledge?
Objection.
Grounds.
Asked and answered.
Also calls for speculation, vague, sustained as to the form of the question.
So would it be fair to say that you can detain a suspect without them knowing why they're being detained?
Objection. This
Grounds.
calls for a legal analysis, not factually relevant.
No.
Sustained as the form of the question.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
Referring specifically to the time that you placed the handcuffs on Mr. Brooks, remember that time frame?
Yes, sir.
I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Thank you. Yes, I do.
Do you recall how Mr. Brooks ended up on the ground as that was happening?
I do.
Could you tell us about that?
Objection. Saw in the video.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
We instructed him to put his hands up and then to get down on the ground.
Did he comply with those instructions?
He did.
Did you or any other officer have to put hands on Mr. Brooks to get him on the ground?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
No, sir, we did not.
After he was on the ground, that's when the handcuffs went on?
Objection.
correct.
Leading.
Overruled. She may answer.
Your answer again was?
That's correct.
At any point after the handcuffs went on, did you or any other officer throw Mr. Brooks to the ground?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
We did not.
How did you treat Mr. Brooks as you moved him from his prone position on the ground to the squad car?
Objection.
Overruled. She may answer.
As the video shows, he was instructed, let's call it the path of least resistance, to get up off of a prone position, eventually to his feet, with a minimum of discomfort.
Did you successfully achieve that objective?
Objection. Speculative.
I'll rephrase.
Are you able to answer?
Yes,
ahead.
in as best as one can stand a person up when they have their hands handcuffed behind their back, yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may step down. Statement called to next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Officer Garrett Luling. Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Officer Luling.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to direct your attention to the date of November 21 of 2021. And you are aware of the Waukesha Christmas parade taking place that afternoon. Is that correct, sir?
Objection. Leading.
Correct. I was working.
Hold on. Understand it's leading. There is some leeway when it's just laying foundation, so it's overruled, and the witness may answer, and the answer he provided may stand. Go ahead.
Correct. I was assigned to work the Christmas parade.
All right. At some point in time, were you aware of injuries to those involved in the parade, sir?
Objection. Leading.
Yes.
Overruled. Make sure you wait till I rule on the objection, please.
Sorry.
And at some point later that evening, were you aware of a suspect being taken into custody in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
All right, I want to direct your attention to that time frame, please. Did you respond to that area, sir?
Yes.
As in relation to when the incident at the parade occurred to when you're arriving on Elizabeth Street, can you give us a rough time frame?
Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
45 minutes an hour at the max.
Okay. So when you roll up on 553 Elizabeth Street, tell me what you saw.
So as I was coming back eastbound, I could see the lights from the other officers illuminating a subject on the ground. I immediately pulled up, parked my squad, got out and began running to where the officers were. And as I came up to where they were in the front lawn area between the residence and the sidewalk, they were in the midst of handcuffing and detaining a subject on the ground.
The subject that was being handcuffed and detained on the ground, do you see that person in the courtroom here today?
I do, yes.
Are you able to identify him?
Yes.
Would you like him to remove his mask in order to do so, sir?
Please.
Okay.
Mr. Brooks, if you would please. Thank you.
So the subject I saw was Darrell Brooks seated at the defendant's table wearing a dark-colored suit with a gray shirt.
Now you said he was already on the ground in the process of being handcuffed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see any officer slam Mr. Brooks to the ground?
No.
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Did you see any use of force directed towards Mr. Brooks by any police officer on the scene at that time?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
No.
Did you approach Mr. Brooks?
Yes.
Did you speak to him?
Yes.
What did you say?
I asked him to identify himself. At that time, he said Brooks. I again asked him to identify himself. He identified himself as Darrell Brooks.
That's the name he gave you, identifying himself.
Yes.
Objection. That's not what it says in the video.
Overruled.
Yes.
All right. Did that name have any significance when you heard it, sir?
Yes.
Why?
I knew prior to responding to that location that Officer Moss, who had initially located the car, had made a cursory check of the vehicle. During that time, he found documentation belonging to a Darrell Brooks.
Okay. At some point, do you recall getting Mr. Brooks up off the ground?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name. My name is Darrell Brooks, Jr.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember at that point.
Darrell Brooks was picked up off the ground or assisted off the ground. He was then escorted to the front of my marked squad where I searched him.
At this point, are you probably the only officer from the City of Waukesha Police Department on the scene?
Objection. Speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I was the only officer from the City of Waukesha at that time.
And the other officers were providing mutual aid to the City of Waukesha Police Department?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes.
Being the squad from the City of Waukesha and the parade occurring in Waukesha, did you take custody of Mr. Brooks?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes.
Prior to placing him in your squad, was Mr. Brooks searched?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
Tell us what you remember about that, sir.
So I searched Mr. Brooks, during which time I found some cards in his right pocket that had his name on it, as well as a black Ford key.
When you say some cards, what can you describe those further, please?
Debit or credit cards.
All right. I'm going to show for you an item that's been marked as Exhibit 176. It's been previously admitted. I'd ask that it be displayed for the jury again, Your Honor.
Permission granted.
Objection.
You see the photograph on the monitor in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Do you see yourself in that photograph?
Yes.
Where are you?
I am the officer with his back to the camera with police written across a fluorescent yellow and orange vest.
Do you recall what you were doing at this point in time?
At that point, it looks like I'm buckling Darrell Brooks into the back of my squad,
All right.
placing him into the back of my squad.
And you see a set of hands on the right side of the photograph, sir?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
You see the objects that are being held in those hands, sir?
Objection leading.
Overruled.
Yes.
Is that consistent with what you just testified as to the items you removed from Darrell Brooks before placing him in your squad?
Objection.
Overruled.
Consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes.
It's a little blurry, but can you circle for us the key that you indicated you found?
With my finger, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And because it's a little hard to see, can you describe that key as you recall?
As I recall, the key was a single key. I don't recall there being any keychain to it. It was a fob type that had some buttons, and it had a Ford emblem on it that indicated that was a Ford key.
Okay. What did you do with these items after you, well, strike that. Should ask a better question. Did you eventually get these items back from the officer who was holding them?
Yes.
And what did you do with them?
I took custody of them until they were ultimately turned over to Detectives Stern and Detectives Carpenter.
All right. Do you remember Mr. Brooks asking you why he had been detained?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
Yes.
You may answer, sir.
Yes.
Do you remember specifically what he said?
I recall that he had questioned why the police were handcuffing him or why the police were detaining him.
Did you reply?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that he was being detained as he matched a description of a subject involved in a crash in the downtown area.
Did you say anything about the parade?
No.
Okay. Thank you, officer. I don't have any other questions for you.
Any cross?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Do you recall speaking with Officer Moss that evening?
Not distinctly. There might have been some radio traffic between me and him at one point.
So it'd be fair to say that radio traffic, you guys spoke?
I can't tell you if I had direct contact with him or if I just recall him airing particular pieces of information.
Do you recall any particular bit of information that was aired by Officer Moss?
You're going to have to be more specific.
Do you recall Officer Moss airing that he had spoken with a potential eyewitness who indicated that they had observed numerous suspects run from the vehicle?
Objection, hearsay.
Grounds.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I recall Officer Moss airing that to the officers responding in general that there may have been more than one suspect that had ran from the vehicle.
And do you recall if that aired information? Wait a second, back that up. You just stated that there may have been. Any reason why the air information said it had been, that he had spoken to a potential eyewitness?
Objection, hearsay, and
Grounds.
false or speculation as to the words of another person.
Grounds.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
Do you recall any air information of descriptions?
Yes.
Do you recall what they were?
Objection, hearsay.
Grounds.
You're asking him the description of the suspect leaving the vehicle?
What he heard aired.
Overruled. You may answer.
I recall there being a description of either a light-skinned black male or possible Hispanic male wearing a white shirt, as well as the potential of a white male with curly brown hair.
Do you recall what you did after hearing that air information?
Yes.
What did you do?
I responded to Officer Moss's general location, at which point he requested that a perimeter be set up. So I responded further south to set up a perimeter to Attempts to keep those people within the confines of that perimeter.
Do you recall what general area that was?
You're going to have to be more descriptive to what general area are we talking about here?
The area where Officer Moss was.
Officer Moss was at 338 Maple.
Is that the area that you responded to?
Generally, yes.
What do you mean by generally?
I was driving to the residence when he asked that a perimeter be set up.
And do you recall where you set that perimeter up?
Yes.
And where was that?
It was loosely around that residence as well as to the south and to the west.
What streets were to the south and to the west?
Numerous streets.
Well, I'm referring strictly to your perimeter that you set. Do you recall which street you set your perimeter?
I want to say that I was probably the southernmost squad at that time, and I was at Southwest and Wood.
I'm sorry, what was the second street?
Wood.
Thank you.
While setting up your perimeter, did you receive any more information about the suspects who fled from the vehicle?
It was all kind of at the same time.
Do you recall being advised that the male black had possibly fled southbound and that the male white may have fled in a westbound direction?
Your Honor, I object. Move to strike. He's providing statements and facts that are not in evidence. They're based on hearsay.
The question was, did he recall being advised that? That was the question. Does he recall being advised?
Still hearsay. Sustained.
So who were you advised by?
Officer Moss.
And do you recall what you were advised?
Objection. Hearsay.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor?
Next question, please. Hearsay.
What's that hearsay? And how did you end up being dispatched to the 500 block of Elizabeth Street?
I heard another officer error that they were listening to Waukesha County Communications, indicating that there was a person going door to door in the 500 block of Elizabeth Street.
I'm sorry, you said you stated you heard that?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be like hearsay?
Only if it's being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. If it's just explain what he did next, then no.
That was the same question I asked before, Your Honor. And upon when the suspect was detained, do you recall stating that you were confident they were either the driver or passenger of the vehicle found at 338 Maple?
No, I never said that.
Did you give a report about what happened that evening?
Yes.
Did you write it yourself?
Yes.
So I'm reading from your report right here that you just stated that you wrote. Do you recall saying, I was confident that Brooks was either the driver or passenger of the striking vehicle?
That is in my report. However, you asked if I said that. I didn't say that. That's more or less an internal dialogue with myself saying that I felt confident that you were the suspect, either the driver or passenger in that vehicle.
So it'd be fair to say at the time of your report, you were confident that it was more than one person in the vehicle?
No.
So why did you write the report in that fashion?
I was confident that you were involved with that vehicle and with the crash in the downtown area.
So would it be fair to say that you could have written your report in that fashion instead of the fashion that you wrote it?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained. As to the form of the question.
You play Exhibit 80 for the witness.
Stay able to do that, please. The entire
Can
video
you-
or just a part of it?
I'm guessing around the 4-minute and 50 or something, somewhere up in that area.
That's the last 10 seconds, sir. Is that what you want?
Yeah, somewhere up in that area.
Take a look at it. Is that where you want us to start? Or farther back?
A little further back.
Thank you, Miss Gussie. How about there? 436.
A little further back, I'm sorry. Maybe, yeah, wherever it's at right now, 409. Can you play it from there real quick?
You want the sound, I take it?
I don't really think the sound is necessary. More so the visual.
Okay. It's playing from 4:15.
Do you remember this video?
No, I don't. I didn't. That's not my body cam video.
Pause. Go back like 2 seconds.
Thank you once again for doing that.
Is that this touchscreen, right? Is this right here the credit debit cards that you found?
I can't tell what that is.
Can you clear that?
Madam Clerk, please and thank you.
Thank you. Can you go back maybe 2 more seconds? I think it's a clearer shot.
For the record, Your Honor, it's not that easy to just jump back 2 seconds. I mean, if he has a specific time, we can jump to a time.
How would I know if I've only seen the video once? Like, why is it that big of a deal? Can you play from right there? Right there.
4:35, Your Honor.
4:35.
Now it's on 4:37. We started
Can you pause it at 4:35?
Right, it was started and then you said pause, and obviously it takes time to do that, so. And the record should reflect that Mr. Brooks has drawn a circle around something on the still image. Go ahead, ask your question.
The record should reflect consent to that name.
Ask your question, sir.
Around the 4:35 mark, you can see whoever this is holding the credit card, debit card. Is that you?
Objection. That assumes the fact not in evidence, Your Honor.
Sustained. Rephrase your question.
Can you clear that?
Madam Clerk, please. Thank you.
You said that you found a key. Where's the footage of you finding the key?
I don't have a body cam, so there's not going to be video of my body cam.
So if you were wearing your body cam, it would have depicted what you found during your search.
No, the city of Waukesha did not have body cams during this incident.
So it'd be fair to say there is no footage of you finding a key. Grounds.
It's argumentative, and he's already said he was not wearing a body camera.
Actually,
he can't know possibly, it's speculation, he can't know possibly.
Actually, he said the city of Waukesha didn't have body cams. He didn't say.
Right. It's sustained. It assumes facts not in evidence and calls for speculation on the part of this witness, and there's also lack of foundation as to this witness.
The foundation is this mysterious key he said he found.
The jury will disregard that statement made by Mr. Brooks. It's not his time to testify. You will have an opportunity to do that later if you choose.
I don't consent to being called that name for the record.
What is your name?
Bruce.
Do you recall that about 1640 hours? I don't know. Would that be 440?
Yes, that's 440.
And do you recall an officer airing anything over the radio at that time?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall what that was?
An officer had aired that you had driven around his barricade or into the parade route.
You. Who do you refer to as you?
You, Darrell Brooks.
And you knew that at that time?
Not at that time, no.
So how would you say you?
Throughout the investigation, it was determined to be you.
And do you recall it being any other air information at that time?
Yes.
Do you recall what that was?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
Grounds.
Are you offering it for the truth of the matter asserted or for some other reason? Otherwise, it's hearsay.
For the truth of the matter, I'm asking him, does he recall what was aired on his radio?
Well, then you're asking him to testify to hearsay, so it's sustained.
Do you recall an officer indicating that a vehicle was continuing westbound and possibly blaring its horn?
Objection.
Grounds.
Same objection, Your Honor. He's attempting to testify and offering hearsay statements into the record.
I'm not attempting to testify.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustained?
For the reasons the state indicated.
Do you recall?
You can ask the witness if he heard any horns at that time. That would be different. But what someone else may have reported would be hearsay if it's offered for the truth of the matter asserted.
Well, I'm reading from the report that he wrote.
That doesn't take away that it's hearsay. If it's in the report and someone else said it, it's actually double hearsay.
Do you recall hearing about a vehicle blowing its horn?
Objection.
Grounds.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Overruled, he asked if this witness heard. That's how I heard the question. I think that's what you were asking.
Do you recall hearing about a vehicle blowing its horn?
You mean at the...
Did you hear about a horn?
What did you hear, Your Honor?
If the question was, did this witness hear a horn, then that witness may answer the question. Did he hear about a horn? That's different. That would be hearsay. So why don't you rephrase your question, sir?
Did you hear a horn?
No.
And just so we're clear, I assume that your question meant when he was at Barstow and Carina, because that's where he was positioned.
Correct.
Right? That's what you meant?
Yeah.
Was that your understanding?
Yes.
Okay. Very well. Next question. Do you have any other questions for this witness?
Yeah. Any reason why it would be in your report that a vehicle was blaring its horn?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Assumes facts not in evidence. Calls for hearsay. Sustained.
Have you read the complaint in this matter?
No.
Have you seen the complaint in this matter?
No.
You yourself filed a claim in this matter?
No.
You know of anyone who filed a claim in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
Overruled. He may answer if he knows.
No.
Do you recall whom subpoenaed you to testify here today?
The state of Wisconsin, via the Washoe County District Attorney's Office.
You said state of Wisconsin. Who would you be referring to when you say state of Wisconsin?
The entity that is the state of Wisconsin judicial system.
So the state of Wisconsin is an entity to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Is an entity a living, breathing human?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant. Argumentative.
Sustained. Next question.
Do you know if the state of Wisconsin is the plaintiff in this matter?
Yes.
An entity is the plaintiff?
Objection. Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. It's also overly broad.
You ever had a phone conversation
Objection. Irrelevant.
with the plaintiff?
About this case?
About this case?
Overruled. You may answer.
No.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff in this case?
Objection, Your Honor.
Grounds.
This entire line of questioning is completely irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained on relevance grounds. Next question, please.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No, nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. This will be a good opportunity to take a mid-afternoon break as well. You can step off. Thank you. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes. Thank you, everyone. Jury back out. If we could just maybe talk scheduling for a moment. We are back on the record, and the audio's on, so that's good. Attorney Opper, where are you at for today? I presume you have probably another witness or so.
Yes, we were just discussing that as well, Your Honor. I have one more witness whom I believe will be shorter in duration, and then we would be prepared to start with another witness who is lengthier, probably about an hour for direct examination. I'm sorry, probably about 4 hours because of the recorded interviews that need to be displayed to the jury. So we could either start that witness this afternoon and get some of it done and finish with him in the morning, or just start fresh with him in the morning.
And then do we have the interpreter coming tomorrow?
Yes, and we have that interruption or pause in our case scheduled.
All right.
And then, Your Honor, truthfully at this point we are probably on track to rest sometime on Wednesday. We've done good today. We're on schedule for today, but especially if we have to interrupt with that defense witness tomorrow, we don't think we'll be able to finish until sometime on Wednesday.
Okay, understood. And have you been in contact with the witnesses that were subpoenaed by Mr. Brooks to let them know about when they will be needed?
Yes, and we will need further direction on that from Mr. Brooks as far as what order he would like them in and when he wants them here. And again, depending on how this shakes out, I think probably about this time tomorrow we'll be in better shape to know if we would perhaps get to defense witnesses Wednesday afternoon or just start Thursday morning with defense witnesses. If he lets us know the order he wants them in, we can start making those arrangements on his behalf, but right now they all know that they're essentially on call for more towards the end of the week.
Right. And if my memory serves, the witness who would be called out of order, is that Juan Marquez?
Yes.
All right. So you should probably be ready to have that person, because that's when we have the interpreter available. Tomorrow sometime. I presume you still want to call that witness?
Yeah.
All right. And so just be prepared to do your direct when we can fit it in at the appropriate break, and depending on where we end with witnesses tonight. And then if you would let the state know the order of your witnesses, so we can have them come at different times so that they're not all here for days waiting to be called.
Respect. The prosecution didn't tell me the order of their witnesses. Why do I have to tell them the order of mine?
Because they're assisting you in getting them to court. They've served the subpoenas on your behalf, and as a courtesy to those witnesses, I need you to provide, I don't even care if it's the order, but if you say these three will be called in the morning, these three will be in the afternoon, that would be okay with me. I just want to be able to tell those witnesses through the DA, you three will be Wednesday afternoon, you three will be, whatever the number is, will be Thursday morning, and the rest Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, whatever it may be.
I get what you're saying, but it's still, from what I'm hearing from the prosecution, they're not sure exactly when they'll be resting their case. So
I think they're trying to rest their case sooner rather than later, but they have some witnesses to get through, and what they're telling us is that will be sometime on Wednesday, given the pause that they will take in their case to call Mr. Marquez so that he can be questioned by you with the interpreter.
So wouldn't it make more sense to start calling my witnesses Thursday then?
No, you should be ready to go Wednesday afternoon. I'm not going to take a break for that. You should be ready to go. I mean, if we get done at 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, that might be a different story, but it sounds like we should be able to call witnesses. Of course, you will need to let me know if you're going to give an opening statement. You had deferred that, and that could adjust some of the timing. But so I need you to provide that order to the state tomorrow when you come into court, so that they can work with those witnesses.
I'll probably say I'm not going to provide a specific order. I'm not going to do that.
Well, then you need to tell which day, like morning and afternoon, and how many witnesses per. I'm not going to just bring them in all at the same time and make them wait. That's not that would be a discourtesy to those witnesses who you are calling. So I want to have some idea of what your game plan is for them.
I get that, but I'm still confused on. I essentially didn't know who they was calling in order.
That's not really relevant at this moment, sir. So I need you to provide the order.
I'm not going to provide the order.
Or by start Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday afternoon, unless they're very short. Just keep in mind we generally have about, when we start at 8:30, we go till about noon. Probably start up an hour and 15 minutes after the lunch, so you have another couple of hours. So you should be able to know about how long you're going to question them, and just give us who those are for each of those blocks. And then be ready for Mr. Marquez tomorrow.
I'll be ready for that, but
All right.
I'll probably have an idea of who I think should come in, but I'm not going to provide an order.
Well, if he wants our assistance, Your Honor, we will do that. Otherwise, he can be responsible for getting these witnesses here himself.
You've got to cooperate with this process, or they're assisting you. Otherwise, you're going to be responsible for telling these witnesses when to come in.
And so how am I supposed to do that?
Well, then you should cooperate with the state and their assistance to help you, sir.
I'm not going to give a specific order.
Sir, are you willing to provide the who the witnesses are by half day?
I just said that.
All right, then that's what I need by tomorrow morning.
I said I'm not giving an order, is
That's
what
fine.
I said.
I'm okay with that, and the state will be okay with that because I said they'll be okay with that. So
We're okay, Judge. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
So what about what's supposed to be going on today? How late do we plan to go today?
We'll have to see how long this witness lasts and if we can start the next witness. I 4:30, 5 o'clock, maybe even 5:30. We'll see. So with that, let's bring the jury out.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction at some point?
Not beyond what I've already addressed, sir.
Which you addressed it, you didn't prove it, you didn't verify it. It's not verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction yet. It's not been proven on the record. Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor, that you're not going to answer that?
Your request is noted for the record. I've already addressed it.
Is it noted for the record? It should be noted for the record also. That's a tacit agreement.
All rise for the jury, please. Thank you.
We already been riding. Wondering when we go get the answer to that subject matter jurisdiction, though.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Attorney Opera, you may call your next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Officer Leha.
Sir, please have a seat. And I should say the witness stand. I don't have ownership over it. But in any event, state your first and last names for the record.
First name Darrell, last name Leha.
Could you spell both?
Draelon, last name Leha, Leija.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
All right, thank you, Officer Leha. Sir, I'd like to direct your attention to the evening of November 21, 2021. Were you working on duty that afternoon?
Yes.
All right, I should ask, where do you work?
City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you been a police officer?
A little over 2 years.
Okay. So on that evening, were you aware that the parade was taking place in downtown Waukesha?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you work the parade?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall what time it was when you came on duty, sir?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
I believe it was a little after 5.
Were you scheduled to work that evening?
Yes.
Okay. And around the time of 12 a.m. midnight, so now I think we're getting into the next day of November 22 of 2021, Were you asked to assist detectives at Waukesha Memorial Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to that location?
I did.
And did you meet with anybody there?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Who did you meet with?
I met with Detective Jay Carpenter and acting detective at the time, Detective Stern.
Did they ask you to assist them in some fashion?
Yes, ma'am.
What did they ask you to do?
I was tasked.
Overruled. You may answer.
I was tasked with transporting Mr. Brooks to the Muskego Police Department.
Okay. So at this point, Mr. Brooks is in custody.
Yes, ma'am.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And the person you were asked to drive to the Muskego Police Department, do you see him in this courtroom here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you identify him, please? And if Mr. Brooks would please remove his mask, Your Honor?
Objection. I don't consent to
Please
being
remove
called
your
that
mask.
name.
Oh, thank you. You were.
For the 100th
Apologies.
time.
Go ahead.
It's the black male sitting at the table with the black suit and the mask that he just put back on.
Where did you first meet?
Oh, hold on. The record should reflect he did point to the defense table, and the record will reflect he identified him. Go ahead.
Okay. Where did you first meet Mr. Brooks?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
The Waukesha Memorial Hospital, the police hold room.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? Mr. Brooks was talking over you.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. Go ahead, sir.
At the Waukesha Memorial Hospital in the police hold room.
All right. And where were you going to take him?
To the Muskego Police Department.
Why?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Detective Carpenter said that he was going to be there so that he can question him sometime in the near future.
Is the Muskego Police Department located in the city of Waukesha?
No,
Objection,
ma'am.
relevancy.
Overruled. He may answer.
No, ma'am.
Why didn't you take him back to your police department?
Objection.
Overruled. He may answer.
At the time, we were at the annex, which is our older police department. Our police department that we usually report out of was being renovated, so we didn't have any holding cell.
Okay. And to your knowledge, does the Muskego Police Department have a holding cell at their facility?
Objections.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were willing to house Mr. Brooks there under mutual aid?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
So you put him in your squad car?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell us about that, your drive.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
So I put Mr. Brooks in my squad car. We left the hospital I took custody of him around 12:18 a.m. We typed in my GPS to the Muskego Police Department. We left the hospital. We had to go eastbound in Wisconsin, which is a road that's parallel to Main Street where the parade was taking place.
Okay.
Once we passed while going eastbound in Wisconsin, there was multiple marked squad cars, so they're with their emergency lights on.
Do you know what they were doing?
Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
They were blocking traffic, investigating an incident that transpired earlier that evening.
Okay. Is it just, excuse me, is it just you and Mr. Brooks in the squad car?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, it was just me and Darrell Brooks in the squad car.
Okay.
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
And as you traveled in the area of Wisconsin Avenue, did Mr. Brooks make any statements?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Yes, Mr. Brooks said once we were going eastbound in Wisconsin, and I quote, he said, damn, it looks like they were dealing with something heavy.
Okay. Did you reply to him in any way?
No.
Did he continue to speak?
Yes, ma'am.
What else did he say?
He asked me if there was a basketball game going on or something tonight, and to which I replied, I'm not sure.
Okay. Did you continue on transporting him to the Muskego Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
And at some point, were you responsible for watching over him at the Muskego Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. Your answer may stand. go ahead and just wait until I rule on the
Okay,
objections,
I'm sorry.
please. That's okay.
How long did you watch him for?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
I believe we got to the jail around closer to 1 a.m. I watched him up until about 7 a.m.
What kinds of things do you remember he did overnight?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. He may answer.
I know that he was fed around 2 a.m. He slept most of the night. He got up around 5 a.m., asked for water. I got him water. And he asked to make a phone call to his daughter.
Okay. Did you allow that?
No.
Did, you said it appeared he was sleeping throughout most of the night?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. Did
At
you
any-
answer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Other than asking to call his daughter, did he make any other statements to you that you can recall?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
I remember he made some complaints that the room was too bright. He wanted me to dim the room. Yeah, that's all that I remember he
Okay.
saying.
Like the lights in the room were too bright?
Correct, in the cell, holding cell.
Did you turn off the lights for him?
No.
Objection, leading.
Overruled. His answer may stand.
And were you relieved by another officer then later that morning?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
Hey, Cross.
Yep.
That's a yes?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You said that you recall checking every 30 minutes on doing like well-being checks, right?
That's correct.
And how do you know for sure that the suspect was asleep?
I don't know for sure if you were sleeping. I know that the cover was over your head, and every time I go and check in on you, I could see that your chest was rising up and down from underneath the blanket. So it's a possibility that you were sleeping. It's a possibility that you weren't. I know that you were uncovered, so it appeared that you were asleep most of the night.
So it'd be fair to say you're not sure.
Answer stands, Your Honor. It's asked and answered.
Objection.
Overruled. He may answer.
Could have been sleep. You probably was asleep. You probably wasn't, but the blanket was over your head most of the night.
And do you recall why the suspect was not allowed a phone call?
I was told that you had to wait for Detective Jay Carpenter to talk to you.
Do you know if that's standard practice?
Not sure if it's standard practice or not, but just following his instruction, because he was going to be doing some investigation.
Would you say it's fair to say that usually a suspect being detained is allowed a phone call at some point?
Relevance.
Grounds.
Relevant, sir?
Grounds.
No. Why do you believe it's relevant?
Why would contact to the outside world be restricted?
All right, I'll rule that it's not relevant. Sustain the objection. Next question.
Do you recall what time you got to, I think it was you said, the hospital to pick up the suspect?
Yes, I left at 12:10. I got to the hospital around 12:18.
To the best of your recollection, do you recall being given any information at that time about the suspect being questioned?
I don't recall if I was given any information on you being questioned at that time.
And you referred to a police hold room inside of the hospital?
That's correct.
So it's not unusual for someone to be detained in the police hold room inside of the hospital.
That's correct. There's an active investigation going on.
So would that be the only time if during an active investigation?
Usually, someone from the outside coming to the police hold room, yes, for an active investigation.
And do you recall where in the hospital this police hold room is located?
In the hospital.
Do you recall where in the hospital it's located?
It's usually by where the police officers park their vehicles through the ambulance bay, straight ahead, and it's the second to last door on the right.
To the best of your knowledge, do you know if those police hold rooms have cameras?
I'm not sure.
Before that particular incident, had you ever been in the police hold room in that hospital?
Yep. Yes, sorry.
And you stated that detectives informed you that they would need to speak with the detainee before any phone calls would be made.
That's correct.
To the best of your recollection, did they explain why to you?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Calls for speculation.
Grounds.
I'm sorry, calls for hearsay
Grounds.
and speculation.
Are you offering it for the truth of the matter,
Yep.
sir? Then it's hearsay and it's...
Besides the statements that you made reference to, did you observe or hear anything other than those statements?
What do you mean? Can you clarify it for me?
Did you observe anything strange or while the recording was taking place?
I don't know what you mean by strange.
Like, did you notice any strange movements by the detainee? Anything that would alarm you in any way?
Nothing that would alarm me, no.
Did you know the extent of the investigation at the time you were dispatched to Waukesha Memorial?
No, my only task was to transport you to Muskegon Police Department.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
Nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. You may step down. Go ahead and call your next witness then, please.
Detective Jay Carpenter.
Thanks, Trey.
Good afternoon, Detective Carpenter. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up one riser.
Sure. My name is Detective Jay Carpenter. First name spelled Jay, last name spelled Carpenter.
Go ahead.
Sir, how are you employed?
I am employed as a detective with the City of Waukesha Police Department.
How long have you been in law enforcement?
18 years?
Have all those years been with the City of Waukesha Police Department?
Yes.
How long have you been detective?
Almost 5 years.
Direct your attention to November 21st of last year. Were you working on that day?
Yes, I was.
Were you working the parade?
I had actually been part of the parade. I marched in the parade as part of our Honor Guard unit and had completed my duty before the incident commenced.
So this is the City of Waukesha annual holiday parade?
Correct.
And you stated that after you finished the parade route, where did you go?
So I went back to the City of Waukesha Police Department after I completed my part of the parade.
And did you receive information while you were at the City of Waukesha Police Department regarding something that had happened at the parade?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
I did. I changed out of my honor guard uniform, and I was confronted by Officer Daniel Malo. He was working as a desk officer for the department that day. Officer Malo explained that a vehicle had driven through the parade route down in downtown Waukesha, that there were approximately 30 to 40 people down, many severely injured, some possibly deceased, and that there was also an officer-involved shooting involved in the whole event.
What did you do as a result of receiving that information?
At that point, I went on duty and began heading towards the downtown area.
Where did you go specifically?
So when I headed out, there was a lot of radio traffic. It was very chaotic, very confusing. It was certainly like nothing I've ever experienced before.
Prior to heading in that direction, did you have any information as to why this person in that area would be a suspect?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
Yes, ma'am. A description had been provided of a possible suspect, and the descriptions being provided by the dispatch of the individual now in this area were comparable, nearly identical to descriptions I was hearing of the driver from the parade incident.
What did you do then?
As I was searching the area, I heard over the police radio that officers from a separate jurisdiction had come in contact with the suspect and that he was in custody. I proceeded over to Elizabeth Street, where the suspect, who was identified in the investigation as Darrell Brooks, was already in custody.
Okay. Now, you stated that the information that you initially received with regard to the person involved's physical description, do you recall what that was?
Objection, leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Information that I heard over police radio was an African-American male, blue jeans, and a red T-shirt.
So what did you do after receiving this information about a potential person in custody?
I responded to the immediate area. Mr. Brooks at that point was already in custody. I don't recall if he was outside a squad being searched, but he was handcuffed and already effectively in custody at that point. He was placed in the rear of a City of Waukesha police car, where he was taken into custody for loitering, as well as being a suspect at that point as the operator of the vehicle that went through the parade route.
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name, for the record.
Overruled. Your answer stands. Go ahead. Next question.
At the time that you made contact with this individual, did you have any information about the vehicle that had been used during the parade?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, a red SUV. That was actually a red Ford Escape, specifically.
And did you have any information if that car had been located at the time that you went to the address?
Yes, it had already been located.
Did you have any information about that red SUV prior to going to Elizabeth Street?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
The information I recall having is that the vehicle was parked over on Maple Avenue, which is about 2.5 to 3 blocks west of Elizabeth Street, where Mr. Brooks was located and taken into custody.
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
Did you have the opportunity to speak with an individual who was identified as Darrell Brooks at that Elizabeth Street address?
Called that name.
Go ahead. You may answer.
I don't believe I spoke with him at that address, but Mr. Brooks was transported to our substation located on Les Paul Parkway in the City of Waukesha, where I had opportunity to speak with him.
Did you see him at the Elizabeth Street address?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you see him in the court today?
I do.
I'd ask the court to ask Mr. Brooks to remove his mask.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
Can you identify him by where he's seated and what he's wearing?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Brooks is seated to my left, wearing a dark-colored suit jacket, multicolored tie, surgical mask on his face, shaved head, and he did have a beard at the time he took his mask off.
Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It will reflect. Thank you.
Sir, as you see Mr. Brooks today, does he look different than he did on November 21st of last year?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am.
How?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
At the time of the incident, Mr. Brooks had longer hair, a braided style hair that probably went midway down his back.
How about facial wise?
He had a beard at that time, but it's a little bit shorter now. It was a little bit thicker and longer at the time.
Either, should I say, at the scene, did you obtain items that were located on the defendant's person?
Yes, I did.
What did they consist of?
So the items I received that were on Mr. Brooks' person at the time of his arrest, there were several items. One of them was a Wisconsin photo identification card. So it had a picture on the ID card that I recognized as being Mr. Brooks based on the fact I was with him at this time. The name on that identification card was Darrell Edward Brooks Jr., his date of birth being February 21st, 1982. There was also a green Wisconsin Quest card with Mr. Brooks' name on it, a silver American Express debit or credit card with Mr. Brooks' name on it, 2 Visa debit cards, one black, one white, both which had Mr. Brooks' name on it. And then there was a Georgia EBT card which had the name of Mr. Brooks' girlfriend on it.
Other than the identifying information that you just testified to, is anything else turned over to you that was removed from Darrell Brooks?
Objection. I don't consent to being called that name and it's leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am. There was $4 cash, but also a Ford ignition key.
These identifiers that you located for Darrell Brooks, did you take a picture of them?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't consent to being called that name for the 100th time.
Overruled.
And let me know when you see something in your...
I see it.
Okay. Do you recognize these items as those items you just described as having been removed from the defendant's person?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'd ask the court to admit this exhibit into evidence and to publish it for the jury.
Objection. Relevancy.
Objection is overruled. Exhibit 172 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
If you can specifically zoom in on the Wisconsin ID card. The address on that Wisconsin identification card, is that the same address that you recited for Dawn Woods?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
And what was the date that that card was issued?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
June 14th, 2021.
And the picture on the identification card, would that be consistent or inconsistent with what the defendant looked like on November 21st of last year?
Objection. Leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
It's almost exactly what he looked like.
Now, as you were at the substation, what did you do that can be removed? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
For the most part, what we were doing down there is obtaining basic booking information. So I confirmed Mr. Brooks' first name, middle name, last name, date of birth. I obtained an emergency contact for him, phone numbers, whether he was working or not, going to school. Obtained information about his tattoos, piercings, things of that nature. Personal identification information.
Okay. And who did he say his emergency contact was?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
Mr. Brooks indicated his emergency contact person was Dawn Woods.
And what relationship was Dawn Woods to him?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
It is Mr. Brooks' mother.
And did you subsequently obtain a phone number for Dawn Woods?
I did.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
What is that phone number, if you recall?
Objection, relevancy.
414-610-2153.
Now, when you asked the defendant for his name, what did he tell you his name was?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
I believe he indicated it was Darrell, Darrell, which, in speaking with him, and I can confirm, seeing him today, Darrell Brooks or Darrell Brooks are one and the same. They are the same person.
Now, you had testified about some of the property that was recovered from the defendant, and you stated that one of the items was a card in the name of Erica Patterson. Do you recall that?
Objection. He did not say who was in the name of.
Sustained. Please rephrase.
Actually, if we can pull up Exhibit 172 again.
Objection, hearsay.
There's no question yet, but.
And if you can zoom in on the Georgia EBT card. Whose name is on that card?
Erica Patterson.
Overruled. Go ahead, you can answer that again.
Erica Patterson.
Did you, at the time that you were at the substation, have any information regarding an Erica Patterson and her relationship to Darrell Brooks?
Objection, that I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled. You may answer, sir.
Objection is hearsay.
Overruled.
Not at that time, no.
Did you later learn of a relationship between the defendant and Erica Patterson?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And what was that relationship?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Ms. Patterson was a significant other or girlfriend to Mr. Brooks and mother of one of his children.
Objection, not girlfriend.
Overruled. The jury will disregard that last statement as Mr. Brooks is not testifying at the moment.
Well, keep it true.
Now, when you made contact with Darrell Brooks or while you're making contact with Darrell Brooks at the substation, did he complain of any injuries?
Objection, I don't consent to being called that name.
Overruled.
I think the prosecution is trying to be funny at this point.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
I didn't hear the last thing, but I believe it was commentary. So just state your objection and I'll rule on it. It's been overruled. You may answer.
Yes, ma'am, he did. He complained of two injuries, one to his knee, but primarily and mostly of an injury to what was his right shoulder.
Did your opinion change at any time while you were with him on November 21st?
Objection, vague.
Overruled. You may answer.
No, it did not.
Now, during the 4 hours that you were at the hospital, were you, do you continue to complain about shoulder pain?
Yes, he did.
Were his actions always consistent with his expression of the pain in the shoulder?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. You may answer.
No, they were not.
Can you describe for the jury what you mean by that?
Objection, speculative. How can he know how somebody's body is feeling?
Overruled. He may answer, given as long as he answers with his understanding or what
Observations is what I was
observation.
saying.
Thank you. I think that's what you said. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So Mr. Brooks, when he would speak to me throughout the evening, he would move his arms about, he'd put them out to his side, he'd move them back and forth, he'd raise them up and down. He was talking about being in severe pain, but I would describe the way he'd move his arms and such as basic body mannerisms and basic interpersonal interactions. His hands, his arms, everything moved completely normally when we would speak. There was no favoring of that shoulder or anything to indicate other than what he was saying through physical action that there was any type of injury there that I observed.
Did you record the entire conversation you had with the defendant?
Yes, at that point, all that is on recording. At that point, yes.
And have you had the opportunity to review that recording prior to today's date?
I have.
I would like to admit Exhibit 81 for the
Objection.
court. It is the audio interview of the defendants that took place on November 21st, 2021. It's previously been addressed by this court.
Objection.
Remind me how long it is again.
Your Honor, the entire video is 25 minutes approximately. I'm asking to play from 4 minutes and 25 seconds to 14 minutes and 25 seconds approximately. Well, it would be 10 minutes.
I presume you'll have questions regarding that once you play it?
Correct.
All right. Given that it's just before 5 o'clock, I'm going to stop for the day. We can pick up with this tomorrow. You can sit down for the moment, and I will have our instruction for the jurors. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, do not begin your deliberations and discussion of this case until all the evidence is presented and I have instructed you on the law. You should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. With that, you are excused for the evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning. All rise for the jurors, please. I'm printing out a draft of preliminary, you can be seated, in jury instruction 60, which concerns use of an interpreter for a witness. I have a question about that second paragraph, which relates to whether the witness knows some English or not, and so we'll review that tomorrow morning first thing, but it'll be provided to the parties, so you have that to look at this evening. With that, I'll see everyone tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you.